What is up, Bitcoiners? I just had an amazing conversation with the wonderful Desiree Dickerson. She is leading things up over at operations at Lightning Labs, but she's also just doing a ton of things with Zebedee, advising them, and MintGox, which is the premier community and place for Bitcoin gaming and the Bitcoin gaming community. This conversation was kind of a wide-ranging conversation. We talked everything from like why gaming is important for Bitcoin all the way to Bitcoin 2021 and all the awesome stuff that Zebedee and MintGox are going to be doing there in the gaming arcade and Lightning game arena. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this conversation. We talk about mass adoption. We talk about why central bankers are pushing people to Bitcoin and how it's super, super bullish how many people are onboarding to Bitcoin directly on the Lightning Network rather than, coming in through traditional channels and getting onto on-chain through exchanges and stuff like that. Before we get into this podcast, though, I want to tell you about the Bitcoin 2021 conference, which is a subject in this conversation. Des and I are both going to be there. Same with everyone at Lightning Labs and everyone over at Zebedee. If you are interested in Bitcoin and gaming, you need to be at the conference. If you're interested in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community and this revolution, you need to be at the conference. If you're listening to this and you don't already have a ticket, it's probably already too late because the conference is going to be next week and we are already 100% sold out. This is the biggest Bitcoin event in history, and it is just a massive freaking, coming together for the Bitcoin community, which has really, not been co-located and really not been in person since this whole COVID crisis broke out last year. I'm super excited to see everyone in Miami. I am super excited to meet Des for the first time in person after working with her for a couple of years now. And I'm super excited for all the amazing speakers. You can go to b.tc/conference, see all the speakers that we're having, see all the amazing sessions. We have the full agenda listed on the website, see all the amazing sponsors, including MintGox and Zebedee. And again, if you don't already have your ticket, I'm sorry, it's kind of late, but you had a chance. You had almost 2 years to buy a ticket. So Bitcoin 2022, we will be selling tickets as soon as Bitcoin 2021 is over. Do not miss out on the future biggest event in Bitcoin. But I got to talk about MoonPay because MoonPay is also one of our sponsors. MoonPay's app and widget is integrated into the Bitcoin 2021 site. If you do want to get a ticket to Bitcoin 2021 with Bitcoin, you can save money. We are giving discounts for Bitcoin tickets. And when you use MoonPay, you get the best of both worlds. You get to swipe your card, you get to use your debit card, you get to use Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, whatever it is, in order to pay with fiat and send us Bitcoin, right? You get to burn your dirty fiat. We get to earn Bitcoin, our valued satoshis, and you get that massive discount on your Bitcoin 2021 ticket. You can also use MoonPay for purchasing your Bitcoin 2022 tickets when that comes online. Big fan of MoonPay. They are doing amazing things like integrating into over 300 non-custodial wallets. So that way on your phone, you can just go buy Bitcoin, have those sats sent to you, not have to do any KYC or anything like that because you used Apple Pay and that's going to check all those boxes. And then you get sats directly to your wallet. You never have to use Coinbase. You never have to have your Bitcoin inside of a custodial account. It is really awesome. They're available over 160 countries and integrate with tons of fiat solutions. Big fan of MoonPay. Check them out. Check out the conference. Go to b.tc/conference and enjoy this awesome conversation with Des. Peace. Bitcoiners, I am sitting across from the lovely Des Dickerson. Welcome to the Bitcoin Magazine podcast, Des.
Thank you for having me. I feel like, I feel like Bitcoin Magazine is like family now. Like I'm always talking to you guys, annoying you. So I love it. Anytime I can come on and chat is great.
Well, hey, you have been a really awesome partner both at Lightning Labs and with MintGox and Zebedee. So it's been awesome working with you in general. And honestly, I'm always just so impressed. It seems like you're always up to something. You're always doing something new. And I just don't even know how you have enough hours in the day.
I don't. Like, if you catch me at a bad time, I'll be like taking Zoom calls while like on my spin bike and, you know, working at the same time. So yeah, I mean, you caught me at a good moment right now.
Well, I know that you run like ultra marathons, right?
Yeah,
So,
that is like that's like the few free moments I have to myself. And everybody's like, why would you run like 50 miles? And I'm like, well, like that's the only time like people don't bother me. Like I physically can't I can't text when I'm like running on like the Appalachian Trail or I'll fall. So it's like it works out.
I mean, so what an ultra marathon? That's 47 miles. How much is that exactly?
So it's technically anything over a marathon. So like if you run like, you know, a half mile over a marathon, it's technically an ultra marathon. Although like specific races really start at 30K and then just go up from there. So I've done a few 30Ks, which I love. So that's my distance. And I've done a 50K and I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, but after the Bitcoin conference, I will probably maybe pick it up a little bit more. So if you need a running partner, I'm your girl.
Yeah, well, I know I definitely can't keep up with you. I've done a few half marathons. They've all been a struggle, but I just can't even imagine doing a marathon, let alone more than a marathon, right? I can't imagine like a half marathon being like, that's the halfway point. It just seems pretty daunting.
That's the point in the race where your like mind breaks down, where you like start crying, where you're like, wait, I got to do that again. Yeah, it is a little bit of a mind fuck, but yeah, it's interesting. That's for sure.
Cool. So, Des, like I said, you do a ton of stuff. You're the head of communications over at and operations over at Lightning Labs. You're also leading things up in terms of just getting people into Lightning and gaming. Can you just talk about like why are you dumping so much time into Lightning and gaming in particular?
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, I mean, at Lightning Labs, so I do wish I was the head of communications. I am not. We are hiring for more of a communications, social media, head of memes type of person. So thank you for the setup for a shameless plug. Please, like, let me know. We are hiring for that role. You know, but that, you know, technically does kind of like fall into my basket right now. But yeah, I mean, I do a lot of like business strategy, business operations that like kind of all falls underneath my umbrella. So it's kind of like, you know, a master of none, but like doing everything. I don't know what the saying is. So
Startup life.
What'd you say?
It's just startup life.
Oh yeah, exactly. Startup life. But I mean, I'm obviously super lucky. I mean, get to work with Elizabeth like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then, you know, with the rest of the team too, everyone's just like super amazing. Like Ryan Gentry, like is basically like, you know, blood relative at this point. So
he was an awesome recruit for y'all. I remember he joined the team like a year ago or something like that, at least in 2020. But
yeah,
that was awesome.
It will be a year in June. He was like our first like business hire outside of myself, and you know we have grown the team on the biz side quite a bit. But like when he came on, it was like wow, night and day. And he's just done incredible things, and he's like the most creative mind, honestly. Like I think he's one of the most creative people I've ever worked with. And a lot of the stuff we do with the Lightning Lab is just like stuff that comes out of like our brainstorming sessions. So it was like actually incredible we were in Austin last week. I got to like actually work with him in person and it was crazy. I totally forgot he was 6'5". So
that's tall.
He's a giant.
I'm like 5'8", so I'm not even close.
Yeah, it's like all that Texas meat he's been eating. So yeah, no, we have an awesome team. So yeah, obviously like live, breathe, and die Bitcoin and Lightning. And then really the gaming thing came about, you know, just over the past 3 years that I've like been at Lightning and obviously been following Lightning a little bit longer than that. It was just like, okay, cool. You know, it was just insane seeing the community and the ecosystem evolve and, you know, see what people were building. And, you know, it was just like in the beginning, there were like just people who were kind of tinkering around, like just kind of paying back and forth. And then there's this explosion of like companies building and creating and innovating. And like, that's what's been so incredible. And like, once the gaming thing kind of took off and, it really, obviously it started very early on with like Lightning Chess, Satoshi's Place that Lightning Koala did. Like those were really like the very, very early days of Bitcoin and Lightning gaming, which I mean, it still is the early days, but those are the very, very early days. And so when we were at the Bitcoin or the Lightning conference in late 2019, I heard Chris Moss at Zebedee now, Mandelduck, just give this like great introduction of like the history of gaming and like why Bitcoin makes sense. And I was like, oh, wow, I was already moderating this gaming panel just because like I am a gamer, I love gaming. And so when he started like really getting into like why don't we have like this actual value built into games, and we have this like fake in-game currency that creates these walled gardens. And I was like, oh, like this makes so much more sense. And so I was really passionate from that point. And something I've always kind of thought about was like, I just view gaming as like the next social network. And I've always believed that. And like, I know it's going to come true. Like, mark my word, like that I will die on that sword, where it's like, okay, we had Facebook and we have Instagram, and like, that's how we've kind of like come to congregate and socialize on the internet. But I truly believe that this next generation who, like these Gen Zers are like way more into gaming than we really were, will kind of move those social networks into games. And so, I mean, we're already kind of seeing that. Like, I mean, people congregate in Fortnite, and like, that's how they're interacting. And so, what comes next after just like basic human interaction is like the transfer of value, for goods, services, and that type of thing. So that's like kind of the path that I took to like really understanding why adding Bitcoin back into games was so powerful. And then the other aspect of it, thinking really with my Lightning Labs hat on is like, okay, we think so much at Lightning Labs about, how do we make this happen? Like, how do we grow the network? Like, how do we grow the network? Not only just like grow the network, but like grow it responsibly, like make sure it's robust, reliable, and secure. And, thinking through that was like, okay, how do we grow the network? And I think like one of the easiest ways is by like it's obviously bringing people to Bitcoin and Lightning, and adding more nodes and adding more users. And one way to do that was like, okay, well, it would make sense if like we just onboard people through gaming. It's like, okay, this is fun. Like, you can come to a game, you can play one of Thunder Games' mobile games, or you can you can join a free server, a free CSGO server that Zebedee is hosting, and you can like put nothing up, like, and you just play. And so you get the value of playing the game, but then you also earn Bitcoin. So it's like you literally lose nothing by having to play this game. So I think like that's what was so incredible, that like, people aren't going to Coinbase to buy their first Bitcoin. They're not going to an exchange. They're actually being rewarded for doing something that they already like. And for me, that's like the lowest level of friction. It's like almost like anti-friction. It's like, okay, I had to download an app. That's a little bit of friction, but I'm having fun. And then I'm getting paid on top of it. So it's actually, for like that one step of friction, you have like two steps of benefits. So to me, it's like, okay, like that equation makes sense. And I think, to me, gaming is how we're going to onboard the masses, just because it's so simple, it's so logical, and honestly, at the end of the day, it's fun. So that's how I've kind of like gone down this like little bit of a rabbit hole with Bitcoin and gaming. And like, that's how it's kind of become like my passion, and also like filled every waking moment. Like when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm on Discord, like getting things together. So it's been kind of a fun ride over the past year.
That's awesome. And as someone who, I have a 15-year-old brother, he's on PlayStation hanging out with his friends, especially during the pandemic. But even before that, he'd be sitting there, playing FIFA, watching something on Netflix, chatting with his friends in the room, kind of everything going on. And then even looking at like, let's call it millennial parents, like now we're moving into an age where the adults and the parents are all about buying video games and playing them, right? It's not unheard of to hear, 28-year-old father playing Fortnite. Gaming is just becoming more and more ubiquitous in society. So the fact that, that is a platform there that's already kind of gained mass adoption, and then layer in something that only Bitcoin Lightning can actually offer, which is like this peer-to-peer value exchange layer that is permissionless. It's super exciting.
Yeah. And I also see if you look at like mobile gaming is like really penetrating like these new markets of like older generations. Like my mom plays this, like, I didn't know she plays like this weird, like fantasy game of like this woman being like whisked off to like London, and she's like doing these, like, she has like an umbrella. It's like weird. I don't know. But like when I,
the role play type thing.
Yeah. It's like, I'm like, cool. But my mom is single, and like, during the pandemic, I was like, she's like getting like in her late 60s. I was worried about her being, stuck inside and not having a lot of social interaction. So like one thing that we've even started doing is like we play chess, and we play Scrabble together. And like, that's how we interact. It's like, I have really long, busy days, so I can't like call her multiple times or sit on like, a 30-minute phone call. But like, we've been able to like really interact and be super social through these gaming networks. Like when I'm just like waiting for a call to start, if someone's running late, we've been able to interact this way. So I think that we will see like on the tail side, some of these older generations onboarding to gaming as well. So if like there's a way to like, monetize, not monetize, but like bring value to that generation as well. Like, especially with like these aging generations with Alzheimer's, like gaming has a ton of like potential for impact. So, I just think like gaming is like, it's just like a societal net plus. And so if we can add Bitcoin to that, it's just like, you can't stop it.
Yeah. Imagine if like just, your average board game or whatever, just like had built-in monetization, right? And you win, you get paid out, that kind of thing. From a peer-to-peer level, it's really awesome. It's also really cool to like think about people onboarding into Bitcoin directly on Lightning, right? Because like right now, if you're onboarding on chain, there still is friction to get into Lightning. There are a lot better wallets now, stuff like Moon Wallet, where they actually like through the UX kind of obscure on chain versus Lightning. But it does seem like there's a little bit of friction there. I was talking with Sergey from BitRefill, who's a little concerned about, multi-coin wallets adopting Lightning and stuff like that. But ultimately, if we can get the masses into Bitcoin, not through like an exchange, not through like on chain, but onto Lightning directly through a game or through earning or doing tasks online, like that's super bullish in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, and I think that you make a really good point with the separation of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, because it's like, okay, if you explain Lightning to people for the first time ever, right, and they're already very new to Bitcoin, what is the first thing they ask you? Is like, oh, is that a token? Is that a coin? Is that like a Lightning coin? So it's just like one layer of complexity that like I think the normal everyday user doesn't need to see and need to know up front. So it is like somewhat controversial, kind of having this like ubiquitous Lightning Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, like Lightning, and Ryan Gentry always says this, is like Lightning is the UX for Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin's UX. So it's like, why do we need to kind of tease these apart? And this is like a really interesting conversation that we had with like the MintGox team with, like Andre and Chris and Simon from Zebedee and Jack from Thunder Games, was like, okay, like we're now saying to people, like for us, for these games, like we're trying to reach a gaming audience. Like we aren't necessarily trying to always target just the Bitcoin community. Like most of Thunder Games users are actually non-Bitcoiners. This is their first interaction with Bitcoin. And so we were thinking of like, okay, how do we message this? What's the narrative? And we started out being like, okay, like gaming on, like you can win Bitcoin by playing games powered on the Lightning Network. And it was like, and then we would say Bitcoin Lightning games. And it was just so much, and it was so many words, and it was like we were overcomplicating it. So I mean, now we've simplified it to just Bitcoin gaming. Like you're winning Bitcoin on gaming. Like, you know, yes, everything's run on the Lightning Network. Like all the transactions happen on Lightning. But like, do these people need to know that? Like, no, they onboard and they're using Lightning and they're winning Bitcoin. So that's like a really interesting point. You know, I'm interested to see what happens because some people are very much against kind of, you know, getting rid of that separation. But I personally think it's important if we're going to reach like normal people who don't have time to care about what's actually going on.
I mean, for people who want to just clearly make the distinction, I don't think that they fully grasp the entire Bitcoin stack or, you know, what the internet stack looks like, right? Like the internet is this layered solution and no one's like, oh, you know, this is an HTTP, you know, this is a HTTP game or what, you know, like they're not making distinction on like where this operation is happening on the internet stack. It's just happening online. So, I mean, I totally agree that, you know, I feel like right now, people are still pretty accustomed to on-chain UX, even though it sucks. Like people kind of defend on-chain UX, but I truly do believe that, you know, for the average person, they're going to go up stack and they're not going to see the difference. Like it's just going to be their wallet says you have this balance and then they're going to send a transaction and it's going to be instantly. And, you know, the other person is going to have a, you know, an instant confirmation and then boom, Bitcoin just works.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, this is just like, it's such a, like a thing that's just so like natural to the Bitcoin community is like, you know, being true to ourselves and like staying true to like, I don't know, like these narratives that we like hold on to where it's like, I mean, believe me, like I am like, well, be non-custodial to the day I die. Like, but like I work in this space. Like I eat, breathe and sleep, die this like Bitcoin and Lightning. So it's like, of course, like that makes sense to me. But like, you know, I always get so mad when people like hate on like custodial solutions. And like, it's like, yeah, like maybe that's not what we want people doing long-term, but like right now it's really, 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 really difficult to do non-custodial. Like, you know, a really, really good non-custodial wallet is really hard. And, you know, I mean, there are a couple good ones now, but like, you know, I think it's just easier to make custodial easier for the user. So like, I think we should be like open to like people having this like very multifaceted Bitcoin journey where it's like, okay, hey, I'm new. Like, I just want to learn about Bitcoin. Like my sister today was like, hey, I want to buy my first Bitcoin. Should I go to Coinbase? And I was like, no, please, absolutely not. Here is river.com. And she was like, great. And I mean, River does an amazing job of doing everything for her, but it's like, you know, I'm not going to be like, hey, Bridget, like go like, you know, set up Electrum. And like, you know, it's just like not going to happen. So it's like, hey, like, you know, if you need to go the custodial route, that's cool. And then like, once you become interested, like you can learn a little bit more, but like, you know, if you just like buy and want to hold, like, you know, where you find yourself on that spectrum is fine. And I think like, if we just keep like pushing people out because like, they're not like these crazy maximalists, like I am like, you know, will admit that like some days I am a maximalist as well, but like, I also want like this to reach the masses and like Bitcoin to be the norm. And so I think like, kind of letting go of some of these narratives will help us mature, which I don't think mature is in the Bitcoin lexicon, the Bitcoin community lexicon, but will let us mature collectively and, you know, bring more people to the space. So I don't know. That's my rant on that anyways.
No, I totally agree with that take. And to be honest, like to get people onto the internet at first, they needed AOL. Like AOL was not the internet. It was like some like BS interface, right? And I feel like Coinbase, a lot of the fiat to Bitcoin exchanges, they're kind of serving that same purpose of like onboarding people onto the internet of value. And it's not going to be until like people have, you know, they have their modem at home, they have their router, and then they're going to have their finance router. And like, that's going to be just normal. You plug it in, you know, you scan the thing with your phone and bam, bam, you're good to go. Like that's my vision of like how let's just call it mass self-hosted Bitcoin usage kind of evolves. But until then, like, Bitcoiners need to be patient. And I would say, instead of saying maximalists, I call them Bitcoin best practicers. So you can use the best practices, but you also don't have to. And like, Bitcoin's permissionless, and you pretty much can't stop anyone from using it, either with the best practices or not the best practices. Like, it still works.
Yeah, no, I love that. Bitcoin best practicers. Like, we'll get people down their timeline to becoming the Bitcoin best practicers, being the best practicers they can be. Yeah, no, I'm totally on board and totally believe that. But yeah, I mean, I love that, like, this is just going to be like the payment transaction stack part of this. Like, I do feel like in some sense we're like rebuilding the internet, like, all together. And, that's something like at Lightning Labs where it's like, okay, what I think that is happening, like these people building on Lightning, like building all these, like Lightning's opening up like these entire new use cases that just aren't possible without Lightning. Like, you look at Sphinx chat, and you look at Stackwork that Paul Atoy is building. And it's like, okay, like literally Stack is not possible without Lightning, right? You can't send that level of like microtransaction at that frequency without the Lightning network. So I really do see like there being like this boom of Lightning startups that will be like this new startup boom. Like, we saw when the internet occurred, it's like, okay, hey, the internet happened, startup boom. It's like, hey, now Lightning is here, and now like there's a value transaction internet. So like, I really do believe like we're going to start seeing like this boom of startups coming out of that too. Like, you have like Fold and Strike and Sphinx and like all these like gaming companies coming up. So I think like we will see this like little like Lightning renaissance, which I'm super, super pumped for.
Yeah, I mean, I think Strike is a great example of like getting on the Lightning internet of value helps you be more competitive against all your competitors who are still stuck on their proprietary payment networks. Like, guess what? Square and PayPal are not going to be in as many countries as Strike, and Strike has a fraction of the team that these public companies have. Like, it's tiny. And guess what their competitive advantage is? They're plugging into a pre-existing open source payment layer.
Yeah, and I mean, and kudos also to Jack and the whole Strike team for just like, I mean, it is so seamless. It's like, you can literally, I mean, I think who was on yesterday?
Better than Venmo, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, Venmo takes forever to settle. It's like, you can't send overseas. I think it was like Peter McCormick was even saying like, he comes to the States and people are like, hey, just like Venmo me. And he's like, I literally can't. Even though I'm sitting here right with you, like I cannot Venmo you. And it's like, now he's like, I think he said he was in El Salvador. I believe
he's still there, I think.
Yeah.
For at least another week.
Until the conference. And, he was just saying, it was like, I mean, it's like just absolutely seamless, just like sending, I mean, even just like him receiving in pounds and like someone sending from like whatever like local currency that they're in. It's just like, it's just absolutely like it's seamless, and like the user face is just like so easy. What they're doing is like absolutely incredible. Like, I mean, honestly, Venmo, Cash App like should really, I don't know, they need to get
on Lightning. All up Ryan Gentry, y'all. Let's go.
No, I know. I mean, like, honestly, like Jack Mallers is coming for you, and like you've been warned. But like, hey, yeah, call up Ryan Gentry if you like want to get in on this, because like now's the time. So yeah, it's wild to see what people are building. And then it's like, it's not new. Like, I remember at the Lightning conference like a year and a half ago, like everything was still so new, and it was just like so tinkery, where it was like, okay, it's not really pretty, doesn't work very, very well, but it's like the Fold app is gorgeous. Like, it's so nice. My dad, independent of me, like he can't even remember the name of where I work. And he one day called me and it's like, Desiree, I know you do something with Bitcoin. I've found this app. It's called Fold. And did you know that there's something called a satoshi? And let me explain to you. And I was, Dad, if you even try and mansplain to me what a satoshi is, I am going to literally jump on a plane and like come like strangle you. But I mean, which he proceeded to continue doing, but like he's addicted to Fold because it's so simple and so easy. And I'm like, literally, we are like on the precipice of like this community creating things that like is permeating like normal people lives, and it's absolutely incredible. So it's happening, and I mean, I think I'm so excited for actually being in person with everybody at the Bitcoin conference, because like I think that's going to be the launch pad for like so much more.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin 2019 arguably was kind of the launch pad for MintGox and Zebedee with Christian Moss winning our Lightning gaming hackathon. I guess let's talk about that, and then maybe let's transition into what Zebedee is doing at Bitcoin 2021.
Yeah. So I mean, so I wasn't at Bitcoin 2019, which is so sad. Biggest mistake of my life. But yeah, I mean, they were like, I just feel like they were all like kind of like building and hacking. I mean, obviously, like Chris has been in the Bitcoin gaming
he's like the originator. He's one of the OGs.
He is the OG. Like we can like actually track the OG. He is like the first person who's done this, and he was doing it so long ago, before Lightning, and he was like, this is just not going to scale. It's just not going to be possible. And then so I mean, he is really the first person who like took Lightning and was like, hey, we can put Bitcoin into games, and he's been the person who's made it happen. So yeah, I mean, I think the hackathon was really kind of that launch pad and that platform for him being connected, like winning that, being connected with Simon and Andre, and then like starting Zebedee, which I mean, it's like hasn't been that long since they've kind of launched that. So I mean, they've made incredible progress. At Zebedee, like they obviously have their gaming SDK, which makes it really easy for game devs to build Lightning into their games and have Bitcoin payments in game. But they've also, I don't know, I guess it was late last year, launched their Infuse product, which I think is like going to be the way that this like kind of takes off exponentially, because now you can add Bitcoin to already like to pre-existing games. So like the one that they're that's the showcase right now is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and they've just, I mean, I was not like, I didn't play CSGO before. I don't play those type of games. Shocker. I'm not good at like FPS games, but they've made it so simple. Like it's harder to just like get on Steam and get CSGO up and running than it is to do the Zebedee part. So they've made, at least for the user, like that's super simple. I mean, I'm not a game dev, so I'm not so sure how easy it is to use the Infuse product, but I've heard it's easy. And so, yeah, I mean, now there's like streaming sats within CSGO. So, if I here's the thing, I mean, I'm not shooting anybody, like that's be for all. So I'll shoot the chickens and I get 10 sats for shooting the chickens. And it streams to me instantly. The minute that chicken dies, like the sats are in my wallet, which is like absolutely insane. It's really incredible. So I think like that's kind of like the main showcase. And, I think that people are really being like seeing the impact where it's like, hey, I put up 100 sats to join this server, and by the end of the game I cash out like 5,000 sats. I mean, there's like different level of servers, and they do like deathmatch, they do 5v5, and I think they have like a new competition mode, but I mean the possibilities are kind of endless, and it's just like really incredible to see how easy that they've made that. And I know they are experimenting with adding it to some new games. I'm hoping they have some announcements at Bitcoin 2021. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, think about it. CSGO has 28 million monthly active users, MAUs. Like I'm seeing it in my brain and not saying it. So yeah, I mean, like the potential to reach that many people and get them earning sats for playing CSGO is like, think about all the Bitcoiners we would have. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, and can I just second, like we played CSGO with the Infuse on Bitcoin Magazine or Bitcoin Twitch. And I was absolutely horrible. So, you you didn't speak highly of your CSGO skills. I was way worse. I was like, the moment I appeared, I was dying almost instantaneously. So while I do suck at CSGO, it was a breeze to install. I didn't have Steam. I didn't have any of this stuff. So it was actually more work to install Steam and CSGO than it was to implement the Infuse version and then hop into a Lightning powered or Lightning enabled server.
Oh yeah, I know. Which is like think about how many people are like 28 million people playing CSGO. Think about how many people are just generally on Steam. Like if that's the greatest friction that we're seeing to getting them using Bitcoin and Lightning, I think we're going to be okay, because there's so many people who have Steam. So, it's just like they've done a really nice job with that, which I'm like, we used to people used to ask what's the biggest problem? And it still is a problem, or still a big barrier with Bitcoin and Lightning. It always used to be education and UX. But I'm really impressed where we've come in the past year with UX. Things are starting to actually look professional and are actually thinking about the user and are actually becoming easier to use. So hopeful.
The great thing is that central banks around the world are educating users about the importance of Bitcoin and sound money. So I'm excited for that. And the fact that Lightning Labs and Zebedee and all the other amazing companies in the space are improving the UX to get those newly woken up people onto the network is super bullish.
Yeah, pour one out for the central banks. Thank you for making our job easy.
Yeah, I know. Definitely Bitcoin's greatest marketing is the central bankers. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin 2021. Zebedee is owning and taking over the gaming arena area. Do you want to drop some details onto the listeners?
Yeah. Oh my God. Of course. I do. There's nothing more that I love to shill than all of this. So obviously we have MintGox, which has kind of been something that started at the beginning of the pandemic. Myself, the guys at Zebedee, Jack from Thunder Games, we kind of put MintGox together to showcase what was going on in Bitcoin and gaming, and what was being built, and really just bringing users to these games. And we hosted it as a virtual monthly event. It got really popular. We have amazing Discord community, and just people who are constantly playing any and all games that we're featuring. And so this will be the very first time that we are hosting this esports event in person, which is absolutely incredible. So Zebedee has so wonderfully, sponsored the space at Bitcoin 2021, but we're going full force esports. So I am so pumped. It's going to be the esports vibe too. So there will be gaming chairs and that whole thing, which I'm really excited about. But so it will be a full force esports arena, and there's going to be over 1 Bitcoin in prizes. So, I know we are in a little bit of a dip. So, who knows what that's going to actually come out to in USD terms. But hey, 1 Bitcoin is 1 Bitcoin, and no one can deny that. So it will be over a Bitcoin in prizes. We'll be hosting the finals of our Bitcoin Rally tournament, which is a Mario Kart style game, but with obviously sats and Bitcoin Bitcoin built in. And then we will be hosting a few CSGO tournaments. So we'll be doing 3, one for folks who are online, one for folks solely in person, and then one for our mod community. And then we're going to be featuring a very large bracket tournament for different Bitcoin and Lightning companies in the space. So Lightning Labs team will be participating, BTC Pay server, Fold, just to name a few. I have not written down the full list yet. So that'll be a cool kind of fun Bitcoin celeb event going on. And then we will have an interesting celebrity appearance, which we're not allowed to announce yet. But it's going to be pretty epic. So we will be, now that the kind of tentative agenda for the whole conference is out, we will be releasing the esports arena agenda, and and it's just going to be epic. So we'll be in the middle of everything. People won't miss it. Come earn. The swag is great. Yeah, just come hang out, literally earn.
Yeah, and if you wanna catch all of the gaming action, the entire thing is going to be streaming on twitch.tv/Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Twitch channel. So there's going to be a live stream for the main stage of the conference over on Bitcoin Magazine, Twitter, and YouTube, and then the entire gaming kind of situation, both on the ground as well as just kind of streaming the actual tournament, is going to be over at Twitch. So a lot of exciting, Bitcoin innovation and announcements and just entertainment all happening at the conference.
Yeah, I don't even it's like a conference festival / like basically, I mean, also nobody has this is going to be like the first time we've all seen each other. So it's just going to be insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, the energy is truly insane, and as of this point, we are 100% sold out, and even oversold on the after party. So, I mean, we have over 12,000 confirmed people coming to Miami for this, and they're all ravaging Bitcoiners. So, it really is unreal. And being someone who's in this space, I remember going to Consensus in New York Blockchain Week, and kind of the energy around that, and it was all this blockchain crypto stuff, and then there was this cohort of Bitcoiners that were just taking advantage of the energy in the city and kind of hanging out there. And I feel like it's completely 180, right? Now it's all about Bitcoin. It's Miami Bitcoin Week. It's the Bitcoin conference, and then all the other stuff, they're all riding on our coattails. So I think it's a beautiful example of how far Bitcoin has come and how relevant Bitcoin as a technology is in society.
Yeah, I mean, how happy are you that the blockchain, not Bitcoin narrative is dead? I don't have even, when I see the word blockchain ever come up in my email, I'm just delete.
It's a good way to skim out what we don't want to cover at Bitcoin magazines, for sure too.
Yeah. I am interested to see what type of degen, DeFi, NFT type of stuff is floating around, because it's that's how you're in a bull market, is all this crazy weird stuff is going on. So it's entertaining.
So what are you most excited for in Miami outside of what's happening in the esports arena?
Well, I mean, first off, thank you guys for picking Miami, because Miami is literally one of my favorite places. I have been there so many times. So I am just in general very excited about Miami. I mean, but the thing I'm most excited about is just seeing people, being at the Austin meetup and hanging out with Justin Moon and Ben from Shared Bits. Is just it's just a whole nother vibe, and talking, and this is where the ideas of the future are formed, is in person. Just having access to everybody in one room, I think is super, super powerful. But I mean, also the speaker lineup is just incredible. So, I mean, there's just, I am excited to hear Amanda Fabiano, obviously a close friend, but just a powerhouse mind behind mining, is I just feel I don't know enough about mining, because I'm hey, my best friend knows all these things about mining. And so I'm excited to see her speak and really kind of fight some of the energy FUD, and Senator Loomis, I'm super pumped to see her there and showing all this stuff. So I mean, I think just everything. I mean, obviously pumped for Tony Hawk. Are you kidding me? I mean, I literally love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. The soundtracks are insane. I mean, I am going to totally fanboy Tony Hawk. So sorry.
Yeah, I love the soundtracks. I feel like Tony Hawk 1 set the trajectory of my music taste. For my life. Truly, it was that impressionable on me. I would love to connect you with Tony Hawk's team so we can get Lightning into his arsenal of games, right?
Tony Hawk, let me know. Literally, Tony Hawk's Foundation, when you, on my wedding website, and it's still there, I have proof, you could either donate Bitcoin to me directly, or you could donate to Tony Hawk's Foundation. So no one gave me Bitcoin, but we did get some Tony Hawk Foundation donations for my wedding. So just saying, Tony Hawk, holla at your girl when you're ready to do Lightning, because it's gonna happen.
We're gonna have to make it happen for sure. And I think Bitcoin Magazine can take credit for Tony Hawk accepting Lightning, because we definitely made the open node connection work out for them.
Oh yeah, no, totally. You guys get all the cred. I mean, you guys are like carrying us into the future at this point. Like I'm with this conference, so I'm so pumped.
I'm really excited to see Elizabeth Stark on stage with Lynn Alden. You know, two of the biggest, I think, the biggest stars in the Bitcoin space, and obviously powerhouse ladies in the space. I'm super excited to see them going on stage and killing it.
Yeah, I am so excited. I mean, obviously, I have the honor of working with Elizabeth super closely. And, I've read so much of what Lynn has written, and especially like her network effects piece, which Elizabeth shills all the time. It's an amazing piece. If folks haven't read it, definitely check it out. But they haven't met in person, which is crazy. And so I think this will be the first time they've met in person and talked in person. So I think it's just going to absolutely blow people's mind, like when the two of them get on the stage together. So I am beyond excited for that one as well. Like, I think maybe they'll solve like world hunger while they're at it, in that 30-minute session or however long it is. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Bitcoin 2019, MintGox and Zebedee was formed. Bitcoin 2020, Elizabeth Stark and Lynn Alden solve world hunger. I see it now. That's the headline.
Joe Biden might as well just come and give out all the presidential awards while he's at it. Like, just get ahead of that. So
yeah, I agree. Joe, let's front run it. All right. Des, it was fun having you on the pod. I'm extremely excited to meet you in person for the first time in Miami. We've been interacting online for so long, and we've actually never met in person either.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope I don't disappoint, because Ben from Sherbrooke actually told me he thought I was 6 foot tall, and he said I had I looked like I had a tall face. So I hope I don't disappoint people. I'm normal sized. So.
I assumed you were normal size. Maybe he was just hanging out with Ryan Gentry and the Texas Giants too much.
That is true. Awesome. Well,
he was like, Elizabeth is tall, Ryan's tall, therefore everyone at Lightning must be tall.
Yeah. No, I know. No. We're we support all a diverse height. We have a diverse height team. That's what I'll say, I guess.
For sure. Well, hey, like I said, no prejudice on the height. I'm excited to meet you in person. Hopefully, give you a hug. I'm over the bows and all this stuff. So yeah. Again, excited to see you in Miami. But until then, for everyone listening, what's kind of your last word of encouragement and maybe some wisdom about Lightning, and then we can wrap this one up.
Yeah, I think one thing that Elizabeth has been talking about, and we. Her and I get so frustrated about is hey, people who are coming to Bitcoin and moving markets and, bringing the FUD. It's stop acting like these people are saviors. We don't need old rich white dudes to make Bitcoin work. Sure, join the party, but we're making this happen whether you're with us or not. So, she always says let's bring Bitcoin to billions, not billionaires. And yeah, that's all that I have to say about that.
I love that. That's the best way to end it. And I, like you said throughout this episode, gaming is kind of that light at the end of the tunnel for that path to bringing Bitcoin to billions, right? Des, where can people find you and learn more about you online?
Yeah, I am on Twitter at Dickerson_Des. DMs are open. Please only send, don't send any XXX images. I don't appreciate that. But if you have questions or want to get involved in anything, definitely shoot me a message. Also follow at MintGox. MintGox, not Mt. Gox. It is a play on Mt. Gox. It's supposed to be funny for all those who kind of criticize that. But yeah, either of those Twitters or, hit me up on email, Desiree@lightning.engineering. And yeah, also we're hiring at Lightning. So if you're interested, shoot me a message.
All right. Well, hey, if you want the honor to working for one of the most important companies in Bitcoin, holler at Des. And yeah, only Bitcoin related messages, please, on Twitter, both for Des as well as for me. For all of the listeners, y'all can find me at CK_snarks. You can find the mag at bitcoinmagazine.com and at Bitcoin Magazine on Twitter and all other socials. And you can find both Des and me in person at Miami. So if you don't already have your ticket, I'm sorry, you're a sucker, but it's too late. But Bitcoin 2022 tickets will be going on sale as soon as the conference is over. So don't miss out on that.
Awesome.
Peace.